Hi, I am the Quant. In this episode, I'm going to show you all the features of your premium trading robot. Don't worry about writing or copy-pasting everything perfectly. We'll go through the code step by step, episode after episode. For each episode, you'll find a module with the current version of the Cbot in the premium section on Discord. So if you miss something, or if your robot doesn't build, you can always grab the code for that episode. If you want to compare your own version with the module version, you can use the website diffchecker.com. It will show you the differences between the two codes. And of course, if you want to skip straight to the end, you can just copy and paste the final module. But you'll miss some important lessons along the way. So unless you're already very good at C# and trading robots, I don't really recommend doing that. Alright, let's get started. This is the trading robot you'll get at the end of your Cbot training. We'll call it version 1. If there's something you'd like that isn't included in this version, you can simply contact support. We'll do our best to add those features to future versions of the training and of the robot. So yes, you've understood correctly. The robot will keep evolving throughout this course. But for now, let's focus on version 1. The robot is organized into 7 sections: period settings, money management, entry management, indicator signal settings, exit management, backtest settings, and get fitness settings. We're going to go through each section step by step. Let's start with period settings. The purpose of this section is to give you flexibility over when your robot is allowed to trade. With these options, you can choose in advance which days you don't want to trade. For example, you might decide to skip Mondays and Fridays to let market makers set the tone. Or you may want to avoid specific days when major economic news is expected and you have no clear idea where the market might go. With this setting, you can easily control that. Then we have time to trade. If you're a full-time trader, you can leave the type on none. Otherwise, several options open up. You can define a trading session, choose the start time, the end time, and decide whether you want to close all open trades at the end of the session so you don't hold positions overnight. This helps you avoid swap fees and reduces the risk of bad gaps. On top of that, we also add a news pause. This allows you to close trades before important news, or to block new entries during a major announcement. There is also a parameter called Do Not Enter Before News. With this one, you tell your robot to stop opening new trades for a chosen amount of time before the news release. Now let's move on to section 2, money management. In this part, we tell our robot that it must respect a specific type of risk. You can choose to risk a fixed amount per lot, per volume, or as a percentage of your account equity. There's also a small extra trick here: commission in pips. This parameter increases your take profit by the value you set. If your broker charges small commissions, you can reduce it. If commissions are higher, you can increase it. It's something you need to test, and it will also depend on the symbol you're trading. Next, we have the daily target. These settings let you define your maximum and minimum goals for the day. For example, if you use your robot for prop firms, you can set a maximum daily loss. Once that loss level is reached, the robot stops trading for the day, so you don't break the firm's daily limit. You can also define a maximum loss from the highest equity reached during the day. For instance, let's say you are up 5%, and you decide that if equity drops by 3% from that high, you stop everything. In that case, the robot will stop trading if you fall back to plus 2% on the day. Let's move on to section 3, entry management. In this section, you control how your trades are opened. First, you choose when the robot should enter the market. Do you want to enter at the open of a bar or on every tick? You can also choose the trade direction: only buy trades, only sell trades, or both buy and sell. Then, an important part: the type of order you want to use. You can choose between market order, an order that enters the market immediately at the current price; limit order, an order that waits for a better price, below the current price for buys, or above for sells; stop order, an order that triggers only if the price moves beyond a certain level. And of course, we have a maximum spread filter. This prevents the robot from opening a position when the spread is too high. and the broker is not giving you good prices. Now let's talk about pending orders. You can configure them in several ways. For example, you can set a fixed number of pips. When your signal appears, instead of entering immediately, the robot places a pending order X pips away. You can also choose a candle retest type of entry. Your signal triggers, but you only want to enter if the price comes back and retraces, for example, 50% of the candle. This reduces your stop-loss size and improves your risk-reward ratio. Or you can even place a pending order on a retest of the last swing high or swing low. The update option lets the robot modify the existing pending order if a new signal appears and the current pending order has not been triggered yet. Then we have the expiration in bars for your pending orders. This is simply how many bars you're willing to wait for your pending order to be triggered. After that, if it hasn't been triggered, the order is canceled. You can use the same value field to define both the number of pips and the percentage of the candle retrace, depending on the mode you choose. And finally, for swing retests, you can set how many periods you use to define the swing. 5 periods, 10, 50, whatever suits your strategy. Now we arrive at the multi-position category. These settings allow you to choose how many positions the robot is allowed to open at the same time. For example, if you set it to 1, the robot will never have more than 1 open position. If you set it to 100, it can switch to a kind of high-frequency mode and send many orders in parallel. The hedge option defines whether you accept trades in both directions at the same time. So the robot can open buys and sells as long as the signal says so. Buy signals open buys, sell signals open sells. Then we have range in pips. If you increase this value, the robot will avoid opening new positions or new pending orders too close to an existing one. This prevents you from stacking too many trades at almost the same price and helps you smooth your entries in multi-position mode. To finish the multi-position part, you can limit the maximum number of trades per day, per week, or per month. This protects you from overtrading. And finally, at the end of this section, we have the sleeping period. This feature allows you to wait a certain number of bars before entering a new trade. You can choose not to enter after an opening or after a closing. You can also decide to activate the sleep mode only after a winning trade or only after a losing trade. To make it simple, you choose a time frame, and then you set how many bars the robot has to wait before it's allowed to trade again. Now let's go to the section called Indicator Signal Settings. In this part, we plug in the signal that we created in the indicators. This will be the only part you'll really need to modify once your robot is finished. All you'll have to do is find a strategy, either by yourself or with the help of the Quant Strategy Finder, which is available with your Discord subscription. Then you can launch tests with your robot using that signal. In this example, we're using Bollinger Bands. The goal of this training is not to give you a perfect or magical signal. The goal is to give you a powerful and flexible robot. If you want to go further and find exceptional signals, for example using the Quant Strategy Finder, you'll need to refer to the dedicated training on how to use that tool. You can also check out the Strategy Labs discussions in the Discord, where strategies are shared and discussed. Now we move on to a key pillar of our robot, exit management. You can pick the time frame you want for exit calculations. This is not needed for a fixed stop loss in pips, but for all the other stop loss types, yes, the time frame matters. We'll come back to that in a moment. Then we have exit on opposite signal. If you turn this option on, you will not be able to hedge like we saw in the multi-position section. By definition, when a new signal appears, any open position in the opposite direction will be closed. Now let's talk about the different stop-loss types available. ATR, min, max bars, swing Bollinger Bands. As I mentioned, all of these use the selected time frame. So depending on the type, you can configure a number of pips, the number of periods for the ATR, the look back for min, max bars or swing, and the period for the Bollinger Bands. To finish the stop-loss setup, you can also add a stop-loss distance multiplier. This lets you push your stop further away or closer based on the calculated level. Next, we have the break-even option. You can program a break-even based on the RRR reached or based on a specific number of pips. This break-even is applied independently for each position, so be careful to include at least the commission in your break-even distance. Otherwise, you might technically be at break-even on price, but still negative after fees. That's it for the stop-loss side. Now let's move on to take profit. You have two main choices. Fixed TP, you enter at a price, and you exit at a given RRR, or fixed pips. Multiple TPs, you enter at a price, and manage several targets like TP1, TP2, and a final TP. Just like for break-even, this is managed independently for each position. You can choose whether you want take-profit actions to be checked on bars or on ticks. Both options have pros and cons. If it triggers on bar close, you might get more than what you expected if the price overshoots. But if the candle reverses before closing, your TP might not be triggered at all. We also introduce a new stop-loss option here. This allows you to decide where the stop-loss should move after a TP is hit. You can keep it at break-even, move it to TP1, to TP2, or to the previous TP level, and so on. Now, let's move to the trailing stop settings. As with take profits, you can choose whether the trailing logic works on bars or on ticks. And here, you have a wider range of trailing modes than in the multi-TP section. Standard trailing stop. It starts trailing as soon as the position is open. Moving average trailing stop. The stop loss follows a moving average. Bollinger Bands trailing. The stop follows the Bollinger Bands, and you can choose whether you trail on the upper band or the lower band. Previous high-low trailing. The stop moves when the close price goes beyond the previous bar's high or low. Trailing step in pips. Every time you gain a set number of pips, the stop moves by that same step. For example, you gain 5 pips, the stop is moved 5 pips in your favor. All of these trailing options are activated based on a start condition. That start can be defined either by a certain RRR level reached or by a specific number of pips in profit. Great. Now we arrive at the second to last section. This is the one that will really help with your optimizations. Here, we've added a daily guard that makes sure you don't go beyond a certain drawdown in live trading. In this section, we allow the robot to run backtests and to check this daily guard based on ticks, on bars, or to simply ignore it if you want the fastest possible tests. We also add a very useful function to avoid pointless backtests and useless optimizations. Stop robot on max drawdown. Right below, you can set the value for that max drawdown. The advantage of these settings is simple. The robot won't waste time on backtests or optimizations that are clearly not promising. Now we arrive at the final part. Get fitness settings. Get fitness settings are parameters that are only used for optimizations. In the cumulative ratio section, you'll find all the standard parameters from Ctrader. And in big ratio, you'll find some additional, more advanced ratios. For example, the equity curve filter. This function is designed to find smooth, high-quality equity curves. If the curve does not respect a certain upward slope, it is penalized. Then we have the Sharpe ratio. In simple terms, it measures how much return you get for the risk you take. Next, the Sortino ratio. Very similar to Sharpe, but it only penalizes downside volatility, not upside moves. Then, the K ratio. It evaluates the quality and consistency of the equity curve over time. And finally, the Monte Carlo test. This mixes and shuffles your trades in many different ways to see how robust your strategy is under random variations. We'll also see how to run good optimizations using walk forward, using Monte Carlo settings, and stress tests, so you don't just fit the past, but build something more robust for the future. That's it. We've reached the end of this episode. I hope you're motivated, because from the next episode, we start from zero. And we're going to build everything step by step. In the next episode, the first step will be the structure of our robot. We'll see how to organize everything so that our robot fits nicely on a single page in Ctrader. This was the Quant. See you in the next episode.